Hi, young fashion designers. It's Yoko Kelly. Thanks for joining me. I have a question for you. Have you ever wanted something that you knew would help fulfill a dream, but you couldn't afford it? Well, that's where my story begins today, and I'm not going to give you the Instagram version of becoming a fashion designer. I'm going to give you the real story, the messy, uncertain, tearful bootstrap version that actually I lived and that happened. Over the next few minutes, I want to share what helped me create a 20-year career in fashion using resourcefulness and some very real skills. Because here's what I've learned. The system absolutely gives advantages to people with privilege. But if you're like me, you didn't come from privilege, but you have talent, you can still compete and you can win. I'm not here to trash the designers that are listening that come from a prestigious school. Far from it. I think that they'll be able to take something away from the YouTube tutorials that I have. But I am here to show those of you who don't have those advantages that there's another way. Let me give you a little bit about my background. In my early 20s, I was working as a waitress in LA. And the job covered my bills, but when I was honest with myself, I wasn't going to have a career in hospitality. I wasn't going to become a restaurateur or a chef. My parents were World War II immigrants that came to this country with nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. Like, we sat around a cardboard box, overturned, and we used it for a table. What seemed like forever was probably 6 months or a year. So when I say college wasn't top of mind for my parents, that's an understatement. So I had a burning desire to become a fashion designer. And I did my due diligence and I looked up the cost of getting a degree from one of those prestigious fashion design schools. And what I found was it was absolutely, completely not remotely affordable. It should have been like, if it was $10 million, or $1,000, it was not affordable. So I enrolled in the only school I could afford while I was still waiting tables, and that was a fashion trade school. And I told myself that if I had talent, it would shine through, no matter where I was, as long as the environment was a creative environment and supported that. And that one act of courage, believing in myself and enrolling in a trade school, would change the course of my life. But here's the thing, my education was mostly technical, and I had to dig deep and find that talent somewhere deep inside me. And that's when I discovered my superpower, grit. And I'm talking about real grit here, and that is perseverance plus passion. Because it took a lot of grit for me to make it over the finish line and get handed my diploma. But in the last 2 weeks of school, my grit paid off. A garment manufacturer contacted the school and asked the educational director to send the 2 best students to interview for a job. Now, I was one of the interviewers, and the other was a gal who had graduated from Art Center, which, if you don't know, is a pedigreed school in the LA area, the year prior to enrolling in the trade school. Well, as you may have guessed, I got the job. I had hit pay dirt due to my grit. And it was around that time, and maybe during my first couple years of on the job as a designer, that I created what I called the RAMP formula for success. And it's an acronym. And I've used it my entire career. And it can be used in any field, really. And it goes like this. R is for relevance, A is for access, M is for mindset, P is for passion. Now let me break that down for you. First up is relevance. And I'm not talking about the next fashion trend, which is important, but relevance is about the world around you and your awareness and raising your awareness to it. For instance, if you're designing with materials that are destroying our planet, or if you're ignoring the technological tools that are reshaping our industry, then your work and honestly your career will eventually be in jeopardy. So how do you stay relevant? You need to subscribe to free fashion podcasts and newsletters. And then when you can afford it, you will pay for a forecasting service like WGSN or Business of Fashion. Those are just a couple top of mind. These resources will give you global insights, real data, industry expertise, and help catapult your career and keep you at the forefront and stay relevant. Now let's talk about sustainability, because there's nothing more relevant than this topic right now. And it's not a trend, it's an education, a responsibility, and a mindset. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I was a designer, I was a mass market designer, and sustainability was not a vocabulary word we ever talked about. So I'm sure I'm part of today's problem. But as an educator and mentor, I see it as my responsibility to be part of the solution now. So my view of sustainability is not a traditional one. In my opinion, sustainability begins with a smart designer. And by that, I mean someone who uses every tool available, from a technological advance to analyzing the market. And when you're informed, you can make better, faster, and more conscious decisions. And here's the great part. Before you cut a garment or you sew it, a smart designer has already saved time, money, and Earth's resources. I don't believe AI is going to replace designers, but designers who learn to use AI and every other tool available to them will have a massive advantage over those who don't. So please try and engage left and right brain and use them together. The main message that I want you to take away is sustainability is a smart designer. That's sustainability in action. Okay. Next up is access, and not everyone has access to a 4-year fashion design program. Today's cost for one of those schools is $10,000 to $50,000 a year. Like I said, I would have gone to one of those schools. I think it would have boosted my confidence, but I couldn't afford it. But here's the amazing thing about today. That access to knowledge is more democratic than it's ever been. When I was starting out, the options you have today just didn't exist. But today, like for anything that you want to learn, from illustration to pattern making, you can learn from free YouTube tutorials. You can go to a library and check out a textbook. You can take an online community course. You can invest in a master class. I found one today that was great for $10. So it's your job to find and use these tools. You can learn to draw, merchandise, run your business through these resources. But don't forget about the technical skills. They're part of the foundation of everything that we do. Cutting, sewing, cost sheets, tech packs. You can learn all of these things very affordably if you're willing to do the work. And I want to be clear about something. Technical skills in my career were not optional. I designed collections that went to production, and the production team said that they were not able to produce them and manufacture them. Now, I saved them from production death because I had technical skills and I was able to walk them through how to produce it. The next letter, M, stands for mindset, and it separates designers with long-term careers from those who will have burnout and quit. Because here's what I can guarantee will happen. You're going to face rejection. You're going to fail. Your best collection will not retail. Your boss is going to hate your design. You're going to send a collection to the showroom that will never see the light of day because the salespeople don't like it. And that's a given. It's part of the path. So what really matters is the meaning that you give those rejections. Because if you can take the word failure off the table and see it as feedback and a chance to grow, you will succeed. When I was looking for my second job, I went to a dozen interviews. and I got rejected 11 times. And how did I combat that negativity? It was through the grit, my superpower, and resources that I want to give you to read. So there are 3 resources I want to give you to read. The first one is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. The second one is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. And the third is The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp. Now, none of these are fashion designers, but they are artists, and each of them will help you stay grounded, get unstuck, and fight through creative resistance. When I was designing, when I got stuck, I would pivot to another creative medium. I'd watch a movie, I'd go to a concert, I'd go to the museum. And the joy and inspiration that you find there, it's contagious. And what'll happen is inspiration will sneak in through the side doors, and you'll bring that back to your desk and back to your designs in your career. As I've said, it's not easy, but if you adopt a mindset and learn with grit and courage, success is inevitable. And courage here isn't the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. Fear is a normal human emotion. Okay, and finally, we get to passion. And if you've gotten this far in the YouTube video, you've got passion. I started out making Barbie watch a movie out of clothes. And then later, I rode the bus to the mall to feel fabric, read content labels, washing instructions, analyze how garments were constructed. My mother taught me how to make patterns out of old newspapers, and I started sewing my own clothes. And as a senior in high school, I even won the Best Dressed Award due to my bespoke wardrobe. Now, my parents, they thought making clothes were practical from a financial standpoint, but not a career choice. So I had a lot of passion, but here's the truth. Passion without the tools is like a sketch with no fabric. When I attended trade school, I had classmates who showed up with incredible portfolios. They'd had years of private art classes. Some had parents that were in the fashion business. And yet they enrolled in the technical college because part of their education was missing from their 4-year prestigious school. My parents didn't see a point in paying for art classes or having me take any. So when I enrolled in trade school, I had never, ever taken a single art class. But passion kept me going. It had to be paired with my superpower grit and R, A, and M, but it fueled my whole journey. Okay, so I'm not trying to discount passion. It's very important. Now, I know I've stated several times how difficult the fashion field can be, but I also want to share how beautiful, exciting, and dynamic the career is. And through my 20 years as a designer, I went to over 11 countries, and I met some fantastic local people. I danced with celebrities, I tasted great food, and knowing all the challenges, given the choice, I would do it all over again. So here's my mission, and it's pretty simple. I want to teach you what fashion schools do at little or no cost, and also share what they didn't teach you from my on-the-job training. So this channel is for you if you're changing careers and doing it after hours, or you don't have the time or money for a 4-year degree and you're bootstrapping your career, or if you just want real-world fashion education, then this channel is for you. And here's my promise. If you listen to what I share, you learn from it, and you actually apply it, you can become a successful fashion designer. So please subscribe for my free tools, the video lessons, and giveaways. You'll get my free ebook that takes a deeper dive into these topics and much more. Plus, you'll have a chance to win a coaching session with me twice a year. That's worth $480 per session. And remember, My journey started with making Barbie doll clothes, and if a daughter of immigrants can do it, you can do it. I believe in you. Anything's possible. If you've got passion, grit, and talent, I'm here to help you with the rest. So let's go. Thank you. Given the choice,